Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. How are you all doing? I am getting used to this afternoon one. I'm getting used to it. Energy's good. I got my work done. Pretty much last moment here, last couple little tweets and last little this and last little that. And we're here. And Tammy's here. She is here. She's excited. She's got her camera. She's got her microphone. She even got her earphones or headphone going. She's ready. We did a mic check. We did a video check. She's looking good. So we'll have a good time, and you're gonna have a good story. Look, when I had Max on, it was exciting. It's exciting. No, he may not be kind of his leader, but pretty significant individual, notable Canadian. Andrew Lawton. I had Tom Marazzo. I had Tim Owen. I had Rob Anders. I've had some, pretty impressive people. None of them gave me butterflies, though. No, they're just people. I'm just going to talk to people. But this one did, because I know Tammy's story. Tammy reached out to me. We talked. She's a friend of the show. She's in the chat all the time. And we gotta talk about this one. I'm going to get into a lot of my personal side. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of politics, but this is a personal story. Mine, Tammy's as well. And you're going to learn about another Tammy. Ooh, I can already tell this one's going to be difficult for me. And let me know what you guys think. I want to take a moment to say hello to Hey True North. Hi, Ellen. Nice to see you. You were on Twitter. I saw you pop in there. I kind of caused a lot of kerfuffle, didn't I? I just simply asked, should I have Rachel Gilmore on? Yes, no. I was expecting some pushback. I was expecting some people to get frustrated, but I was expecting people to kind of understand why I would invite her on. Because, well, she's a notable figure and controversial from our side. She has reach. People know who she is. She's certainly notorious, at least from our side. She's done some things that many of us wouldn't do. There's, mistakes, intentionals, straight up jugulars of people that absolutely don't deserve it. Very, of course, evil type behavior. So why would I invite her on here? Why would I be scared of her? Okay. I got to run for office and I'm going to be meeting people behind the closed doors, in front of people, in press conferences, all over the place. Way worse. All right. Way worse. If I can't stand up, have a conversation, civil, see if we can make some headway, figure out who she is, what makes her tick, maybe show her what a Westerner can sound like and look like. We're not all scary. We don't seem to be, violent. Show her some of this. I don't think that's a bad thing. But what ended up happening was we got one person reach out and said, hey, you're a simp. S-I-M-P. Well, you're not wrong, Mr. McKenzie. But I would prefer to interview you. So his response was, well, redo your poll. See what the people want. Yeah, they want him on here. Yeah, do we really have to look at that? We did it. We tried it back and forth. We'll figure this out. Jeremy is quite the figure. He's accomplished a lot. He's been accused of a lot. Apparently, he's massively dangerous to our country. Requires lots of ceaseless effort and other things. I definitely would like to speak to him too. Watched him in the POEC. I paid very close attention to the things that he was doing beforehand. I know what the government was trying to do there. It failed miserably, like embarrassingly miserably. So applauds to Jeremy. You know what you're doing, and you succeeded. Nobody lost the mission, and you got the government to pay attention. And now you're the boogeyman. Happy to have a conversation with you. Odd thing, though, Jeremy, I had a little power outage here when your message popped up and said, let's connect. Of course, I don't think anything weird happened because I'm solar, so I'm not on a grid. But it was fun to say, hey, look, Jeremy, start to type, and then blue, my power went. It's a sign there, buddy. But we're looking to do something. I'll keep you posted. It would be an exciting episode. We'll get them in as soon as we can. I'm super booked and super busy because of the election next week, but we'll make it happen. And then if you weren't here this morning, we got some other good news. We got another guest, Tammy. And she's here. Her mic works. She's on the board. And I'm ready to talk to her. All right. Tami, I hope you're ready. I can see your headset, and you're good to go.
Hello.
Hello, Tami. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing? Hi,
I'm
chat.
good.
I'm waving at my TV. The chat's over there. I'm like, hi, chat.
Yeah. Does it feel different being on this side of the camera and not watching it from the other side?
Yes.
Yeah.
and it's weird having the headset in and seeing the chat moving over here and trying to see because I'm blind as a bat without my glasses on. So I'm winging it. But I hate myself with glasses. So I try not to wear them.
You look good on this side. You got a bit of a halo effect going at the top there with the light. It's like God has blessed you for this moment. It looks very good.
We had some wild weather today. It went from it was raining, then it went into a full-blown thunderstorm, and one cracked right over the house and shook the whole house, and then it turned to hail. I was like, only in Canada.
Can you give their 3-day forecast as well, seeing how we're doing a meteorology report right now?
Oh yeah. Wait, that's my son. He's the meteorologist. He knows all that stuff.
And I like the shirt, Super Canada woman. What you got there?
Thank you. It took me forever to find this. They had the United States one, and I was like, can we please get a Canadian one? And I finally found it. So I was really excited. I don't know if you can kind of tell in behind me all my Superman stuff. I'm a nerd.
Oh wow. Yeah, you like the superheroes?
Yeah.
So who's the better one? Who is the best superhero? Is there a best one?
Superman. Absolutely, without a doubt, Superman for sure, and then Wonder Woman.
But can you transition to a Superman? Like, how's this work? I'm not sure what modern Superman means.
Well, then I would
today.
Oh, I mean, well, yeah, I could be Kara Zor-El. My dog's name's Kara Zor-El. I named her after Supergirl.
Oh, very neat. And you also do a lot of graphic design?
I do. Me and my mother co-own a company called T&T Pro Designs, and we both do 3D work. My mom does also other like graphic work for people, like promotional stuff, like your graphics, like add a comment or big announcements. She does stuff like that too. I stick with the 3D models.
Well, we just put a new subscribe on. Let me get your opinion on it, because I don't know. Where did it go? There it is. There.
Oh, all right. You're getting it. You're getting my glasses. Oh, I like it.
We're getting there. And then we got this one. We're still debating. We got this guy too. What do you think?
That one kind of looks like everybody else's. I like the other one better.
Oh, you like to stand out and look different. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we just did a democratic process there, and we've now voted in the new subscribe button. So make sure you now subscribe and use this button, everybody. Hit the bell. Ding, ding, ding. Let's do all that too. Thank you, Tami. That was a good plug.
Yeah, not a problem. Glad I could help.
You're a pro. You've done this before, I can tell.
I've been in front of cameras. I've been on stage. I'm a performer by nature, but
that's cool.
That almost sounds bad.
No, performers. We didn't get into anything bad. We can certainly get into weird subjects around that. I just want to say hello to Railroaded. Let's bring that message back up there, my magic chat person. Railroaded, hello, honk honk, toot toot. Nice to see you. It's been a while. It's been a while, but I'm very glad that you come back and you're making some dinner, working on your supper. Good to see you, Tami. Or sorry, Railroaded. I got so many people's names in my head right now. It's been an exciting day, that's for sure.
It has been, yeah.
And Ellen brings up a very controversial question. So let's go ahead and start with that. What is a superwoman?
In my opinion?
Is it a grown female, or is it something else? Like, what is the definition of a superwoman?
Okay, well, I'm a superwoman. That would be a magnificent woman who is an adult biological female, and she's just super in every way. So she's a hero in her own right.
So you said that entire sentence without using identity, identify, or diversity. So well done.
I asked my dentist last week, what is a woman? And she went, ooh, I don't know how to answer that. And I'm like, oh God, even the dentist can't answer.
Oh wow. I guess we have to go back to sex ed for real. Like maybe we skipped that or something, because something's gone really wrong there.
Absolutely.
Now, Now you shared something with me just before we came on, which I thought was pretty interesting. Something about what you did on Facebook, and you kind of let people know something. Want to
Uh,
let everybody know what you did?
I call this my coming out party. Um, as some people have said, I'm very liberal. So they always saw me in a certain light.
Hmm.
And when this whole gender ideology stuff started, I got very angry. And the more you saw, the angrier I got. But every time I would try to say something on Facebook, they pile on you. And it was like, oh, so it's like going back into the closet. So today I posted our link to this live stream on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, Tami Croft on Facebook. And so it's my coming out party. Now everybody's going to know how I really feel.
Well, that's amazing. So your friends and family don't know how you feel about the gender ideology. They don't know how you
Some
feel about shows like
friends,
this.
some friends, some family, but for the most part, no.
And just
They
and just to clarify, who did you vote for, if you don't mind, in the last election?
NDP,
Okay.
NDP.
Okay. So you were an NDP supporter, which a lot would say is a progressive left wing group, and they got your vote. They earned your vote, and then they lost it, and they lost it pretty quick, I guess. What happened
Well,
there?
I started voting when Jack Layton was running for NDP, and
I
Jack
understand.
Layton,
Yeah.
he really spoke to me as a human, as a Canadian, as a woman, and I just loved him. And so I said, okay, I'm going to vote NDP. It was the first time I'd ever voted. It was in my 30s, and I'd never voted before. I'd never been political, really. And
Hmm.
then, of course, when Jagmeet Singh took over, you just kind of go with the flow. But I can tell you the exact moment I said, you'll never get my vote again.
Yes, please do. Sure.
When he stood next to Justin Trudeau and said that anybody who supported the trucker convoy had the blood of white supremacists running through their veins. And I said, you will never get my vote ever again. I was the only one of my family and friends that supported the convoy. And that was very isolating for me. And that's how I ended up finding your channel.
Oh wow! And so from the POEC is kind of how you found it then.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine being a NDP voter, even if you didn't support the convoy, a comment like that sounds icy and cruel to other Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
So you supported the convoy, but could you also see how that would be an incredibly divisive statement, even if you didn't support the convoy?
Yes, absolutely. I think both him and Trudeau calling everybody Nazis and supremacists and racists and bigots. And it's like, oh, shut up with your garbage. You know, they just look to divide us because they know if we unite together on both
Hmm.
sides, we'll overrun them. And they know
So
it.
for Yeah, and you're not wrong. So for you, it was the convoy comment. So we'll call it Singh's convoy comment. And then was this before or after some of the child gender ideology, or is that kind of compounded after, or kind
It
of when did
came
that
in.
come into the picture for you?
It came in after. I didn't even realize that it was happening right under my nose.
Hmm.
And my son came home and said, "Did you know I could be a drag queen?" And I went, I was like, what? He totally took me aback. And I was like, okay, if when you're older you want to, we can talk about it. And he goes, no, I can be a drag queen right now. And I said,
How old is he?
no, 12. He's 12 now, but he was 10 at the time.
So grade
And
5.
yeah. And I said, no. And he's like, but there's drag kids. And I said, and there shouldn't be. And he goes, but there is drag kids. And I went, and there shouldn't be. And so that's when I knew I ended up having to have a conversation. They had
Yeah.
played these drag kids and drag queens over the morning announcements from ages 4 to 14. And I was
Explain this
like,
to me. What does this mean?
what do you mean?
Like they're playing something on the announcement, like they're playing a
A
file, or they're
video.
talking
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
video.
They like a video. I think it was Desmond the Great, that
Oh,
little
yes,
drag kid.
yes.
I think it was
Yeah.
him. And oh, I had just seen his video. I had just started to learn about this stuff, what was going on in schools. And I had just seen Desmond the Great, and he was talking about snorting ketamine off a couch, and he's going, like this. And I was just like, he's 11. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So when my son came home and said, well, they showed it on the morning announcements to ages 4 from 4 to 14, I was like, Yeah, no. So I went to the school the next day and I said, "So when do you start teaching LGBTQ stuff?" And she goes, "Oh, we've already started." I was like,
Mhm.
"Excuse me?" And then her eyes bugged out of her head. Like she became so scared. And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, easy. I'm, I'm, I'm okay. I have no issues with LGBT. I was just curious what you're teaching my kid." And she said, "Oh, just the basics."
The basics of LGBT.
And I went, "Okay." Ugh. And it spiraled after that because then I got into the weeds. I went down the rabbit hole, you know what I mean? And oh, Jason, the underbelly of this thing is disgusting. It is pure pedophilia, pure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean,
No,
they've
you're not
got
wrong.
there's some old 60-year-old guy wearing a Desmond the Great shirt and it says trans kids are sexy. And I was like, you know what? I've been in this community since I was 15. And back when I was 15, you would have been killed for wearing that shirt. Plain and simple.
Yeah,
30 years
you're
ago.
not. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like we made fun of it on Family Guy, right? There was a Family Guy character. We
Mm-hmm.
made fun of this, and now it kind of went real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, even opposing it turns you into an enemy. Well, enemy of them, sure, but a phobe and a phobic and all this other stuff. And worthy of being canceled and losing your job and harassed. Like it's incredible how quickly we became victimized through this. And I hate that word because that's not exactly how I feel at all. But they're trying to make us that way. And they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get us to feel victimized and trying to accept the role of a victim in this. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that we would just surrender or something. You're not a victim of this. You're a fighter of this. So what happened after the school and you started looking into it? Did you have a chat with your son? Did you have another chat with the school?
I did have a chat with my son. Now, you have to understand, like I said just a second ago, I've been a member of the LGBTQ community since I was 15. I
Okay.
started working at a magazine shop and the owners were gay. Didn't know they were gay for almost a year because they never mentioned it. They didn't care. It wasn't a big deal. So when I found out they were gay, it was no big deal to me. I'm a huge Freddie Mercury fan. Everybody knows Freddie Mercury is gay. Everybody
Yep.
knew Elton John was gay. We had gay people. I joke, when I was 13, I was like, I got gays to the left of me,
Mhm.
lesbians to the right. Here I
Here
am
I
stuck in the
am in the
middle with
middle
you.
with you.
Yeah. So it was no big deal. But now they're making it a big deal. They're shoving it in everybody's faces. And it's like, whoa, this was never what the community was about. So me and my son has uncles that are gay. Our dog trainer is a trans man. I met my first trans woman when I was 20. So I've always been okay with the community because they never
Well,
felt the need to shove it down my throat
sure. It
until
sounds like
now.
you're a typical bigot then, right? You
I
must be a
know.
bigot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right. So
Hardcore.
everything went well after that, right? They listened to you and listened to some of your points.
Yeah, Nicholas, he was okay with it. He just doesn't care. He saw two guys kissing once and he went, "Oh, they're in love."
Mm,
And then he just walked away. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I just want him to see people as people, you
right.
know?
But then when the indoctrination comes to him and then it comes and shows up at your table because he's bringing to you the fact that there's a thing called kids. I've never heard that
Mm.
term before. That's
Me
insane.
either.
And the fact that they would play any video that has sexuality in it as part of their welcome to the day announcement, that's incredible. We had the Queen, we had the anthem. That was it. Like,
Yeah, that teacher was fired, needless to say.
okay, so this wasn't like school endorsed. This was just a teacher going beyond the bounds of
I
a
think,
teacher.
well, the school endorsed the video that was showed to everybody, but I guess his teacher was doing it every single day in the classroom. But one thing I need to point out, my son is on the autistic spectrum.
Mhm.
So he doesn't give a rat's whatever you're talking about. If he's into his thing, that's all he's focused on. So he
Yep.
wasn't paying attention the way other kids were. And other kids were going home to their parents and saying, "Oh, every day, all she does is LGBT, LGBT, LGBT." And so she was let go at the end of the year and asked not to return. And
Good,
so I was like,
good.
okay. And nothing this year, nothing. I'm good friends with a lot of my son's EAs and stuff,
Mhm.
and they keep me fully apprised of what's going on. And I've checked our public library, I've checked his school library, I've checked his classroom to make sure none of these filthy books are anywhere near my kid or
Well
any
done.
kid for that matter.
Where are you located? Ontario?
Yes, I'm originally from London, Ontario, and 12 years ago I moved to a small farming town just outside of London.
Very cool. Okay, and now I guess you've kinda cleaned out that school, but I guess you see how this works. They just send in one bad apple, and then that bad apple spreads. So it sounds like you guys sniffed that one out and got out pretty quick. Have
I
you
think we
considered
did.
have you considered being part of the, teacher board, the school board there?
I I don't even know how to go about doing it. I feel I don't really know anybody. I've lived here 12 years and I don't really know anybody here. I kind of
Mhm.
keep to myself, and that has a lot to do with what happened in my past. And I kind of like I was talking to you last night via
Right.
Twitter,
Yep,
and
yep.
just kind of like letting you know. And I kind of really became a recluse, and so I'm now again starting to come out of the closet.
Well, if you're gonna do it, a Canada-wide live broadcast is one way to do it, so good for you.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, you keep using the term "coming out of the closet" to explain, at least to your friends and family and to us, how this actually feels to you, because you kind of feel like you are coming out of the shadows, you're kind of hiding a bit, and now you're coming out and you're gonna be proud about it. Is that how you feel right now? And that's because you keep using that term?
I'm still a little nervous
Okay.
because I've already lost friends. Uh, I got called a turf
Yes.
a couple years ago because I showed empathy towards a detransitioner, and I
Do you
was
wanna
like, wow, you're going to unfriend me because I showed empathy towards someone who has gone through the fires of
Yes. Well,
and
that says everything about that friend. So, bullet dodge there. They can self delete themselves from your circle. That's not a
yep,
bad thing. Um, but it does kind of open your eyes a little bit on that friend or maybe friends like that. So when your eyes starts to open up and you're like, hey, wait a minute, I thought we were cool. But I guess we're cool only when I don't disagree with you. Um,
exactly.
yeah. So what did it start to feel like to you to actually see people that you know and you cared about and genuinely made relationships with be that way to you all of a sudden for nothing other than opinion?
Well, her and I had been friends for just over a decade, so it was disheartening.
Mhm.
Uh, but I said I wished her no ill will. I said, okay, you're gonna have your opinions. I'm gonna have mine. I wish you nothing but love and success. She's an author. I said, I wish you continued success in your writing career.
Mhm.
And I just moved on. I said, I can't do this. I can't worry too much about it because if I do, it's going to continue just keeping me scared
Yeah.
and I'm never going
Yeah.
to say anything.
And did you start identifying other people around you that you suspect might be the same way?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if you were ever a smoker or anything like that, but to all the people that used to be a smoker, one of the first things you realize when you quit smoking is how much smokers smell, 'cause they're
That's
just
me.
everywhere.
I am a smoker. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's not an offensive smell, it's just when you're a smoker, you don't notice, like, all your friends are around you, you just don't notice it, and then
I
when you
get it from my
quit.
son a lot. Yeah, my son, he's always
Yeah.
like, "Mom, you smell like smoke." I said, I'm trying to quit. I'm trying to quit."
Yeah. But this could kinda be the same way, like, once you get out of that mindset and you're no longer in that group, you can kinda see how much they stink. It's like, "Oh, I don't like that attitude. Oh, you don't like me for
But
empathy? Like, that's not cool."
yeah, but for me, what I'm feeling when it comes to a lot of my friends on Facebook is a lot more of them think like me than they're willing to admit. But people
Right.
are so scared to come forward and speak the truth, and because they like we talked about, you could lose your job, you could lose,
Mhm.
well, now in Canada, you could almost lose your kid, you could go
Yep.
to jail, you can get fined. And so I kind of understand where people are coming from. I just wish uh, that they would be honest, because when you see this, there's there's just no way you can condone it, like you
No.
just can't.
And if you can, then there's something really wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, no, it's weird. It's gotten really, really weird.
And it's also weird that we have to make statements like protect the children for real. Like that used to
I,
be a meme that used to just be a little thing at the end that we would say, don't forget the children. But we actually mean this now. It's happening for real.
mm-hmm. And how sad is that? Because I remember I was like, it wouldn't have mattered if you were gay, straight, white, black, Muslim, Christian, it wouldn't have mattered. We all agreed that this type of behavior is predatory, it's
Right.
pedophilia, and it's wrong. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh no, it's normal. It's normal. It's like,
No,
no, it's not.
yeah, I'm not sure when someone normalized this. As the chat was mentioning, there's a term called MAP. So minor attracted people. This is where we're at. So we have there used to be a group, something like men with boys or something, but now we have an entire organization coming together called minor attracted people. Tami, I think you're coming out at the right time. I think you're speaking out at the right time. I think you're showing some strength right at the right time. You definitely will have some impact on some people around you because they may look at you and say, "Hey, I feel the same way, but I didn't want to say it."
That's what I'm
So
hoping. And if they know
yeah,
that more people are around that say, hey, we got your back, you can speak up, we're here for you, then maybe more people won't be so afraid to speak up.
and I think that's exactly what you're accomplishing today. So I was really proud and humbled to hear that you were using this show as your way of kind of coming out of the liberal closet and let everybody know that you've seen some light. Like your own leader said some really disgusting things. That was
Mm-hmm,
one of your bigger um, flags, and then you started to see this doctrination of the children, the attack on Canadians for medical choice.
mm-hmm,
Uh, None of this could have made you feel sane when it was all happening. Like, what kind of world do we live in now? Because when you come out of that bubble of you're just following along, doing what everybody says, and you're kind of cool with that, and you come out of that bubble to like, oh, wait a minute, they've lied about this, they pushed hard on that. When they accused this group of that, it turns out that group wasn't that, and they
mm-hmm.
shouldn't have been, harassed. That's got to be a bit of a, I'm going to say, a spiritual rocking for you, like not just political, but spiritual as well. That
Yeah,
you're realizing really what kind of world you're in.
yeah. I'd been feeling off for years. I was getting really angry with how women were being treated. I was getting really mad with how men were being treated, how white Christian men were being treated. I'm
Yep.
not Christian myself. I've never been baptized, but I grew up in the 80s. So church was a thing, a very big thing back
Mhm.
when like liberals and conservatives were a little bit more aligned, so I still have very Christian values, even though I was never baptized. But I was getting really mad that, oh, men are misogynistic. Oh, F the patriarchy. And I was just like, why do you keep dunking on white Christian men? Like you act like none of these other people are, you know, but, I'm trying to be as PC as I can, you know,
Yeah.
but, but it's like you act like they are the result of all your issues when you yourself could have taken control and stepped away from that and found yourself. But we're like, especially as a liberal, we're so used to the victim mentality.
Hmm.
We throw out as many victim cards as we can. Man, the TikTok is wild.
Yeah.
The victim cards they throw out over there, I'm like, this is like just a mental illness infestation over here. But so sorry, back to what I was saying. Things just didn't line up. Things weren't
Hmm.
feeling right. And I said to my mom, I said, the energy on this planet is different right now. And this was back in about 2018 when
Okay.
the pronouns were like all the rage and they, them, their. And I was like, yeah, no, not happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I'm feeling a shift and it's not in a good way. And I said, something big is coming, Mom. I said, I can't explain it. I can't tell you what it is or when it's going to happen, but something bad is coming towards us. And boom, the pandemic hit. And I was like,
Okay.
you know, and then it just spiraled from there. It went from being the pandemic, being in lockdown. It ruined my marriage, which just is like,
Would you like to get into that?
We can. When the pandemic hit, we obviously went into lockdown. My husband had stopped taking his medications, and he just went nuts one night, and he threatened to hurt me, and then he hit me, and the police were called and he was removed. So then they put a hold where you're not allowed to see each other for X amount of time. We did that. We started working on things to try and get our family back together, because we took vows. We meant those vows, and we were going to try to work them out. And unfortunately, it didn't pan out. And my husband passed away last year. And he died alone, which really, really bothers me. And his body was found on my birthday. So I got the call on my birthday that he had passed away suddenly. And yes, I use that term. I can't prove if jibby jabby was the cause, but I read one study that had said, and I can't find this study again, so if anybody knows where this study is, please, it's one of the vaccines caused an increased risk of seizures.
Okay.
And my husband had a pre-existing seizure condition. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he would have liked to have known that before he went and got. So I hit rock bottom after he passed away. I thought my life was over. And I didn't know where to go from there. I felt lost and alone. And I was already being bombarded with feeling like I was being erased as a woman. Feeling like I was the only person who supported, not getting the jibby jab. I was the only person that did not want the jibby jab. And my mother was going through a really difficult time. She had breast cancer and was going through radiation treatment. And she stopped her radiation treatment because she had an allergic reaction. And she was also compromised because of her weight. She has COPD, bronchitis, asthma, and the fear mongering that our government did. When they said, you're going to kill grandma, my son looked at me and said, you're going to kill grandma. And I was like, so I caved. I held out as long as I could. But my mom sat there and she cried. And she said, please, Tami, just get it. I don't want to die. And, you don't want your mom to die. So I went and I took the jab, even though I didn't want to. But seeing how cruel people were to each other during all of it, I was like, this is not Canada. Gas the unvaxxed, fine them, put them in jail, don't give them health care. Are you insane? I believe in freedom of choice. If you didn't want to get the jibby jabby, you should never have been coerced to. And I, thank God love all of you guys who stood strong and said, nope, not doing it. God love you. Because I couldn't do it. I caved. And I got really, really sick, by the way. I got really, really sick. And then my whole family got COVID, except for me.
I'm so sorry about that mother part, that your mom sat you down, very emotional, very scared. Her fear got into you. And I'm so sad that she had that much fear, that she even felt that she can ask you to do something you didn't want to do. I'm trying to push myself into her shoes at that moment, and the amount of fear there that you would ask your own kid to do something that they don't want to do, just because you're worried that it will hurt you if they don't. That's, even for her, it must have been tearing her apart inside to even ask you to do that.
She has apologized to me, but her cancer doctor basically looked at her and said, if you get this, you're as good as dead. You are definitely going to die.
So that's the fear from the cancer treatment. The doctor there put that into her.
Yep.
Did she end up getting COVID? You said your whole family got it.
She did.
She
got it, yeah. And she's still with us, yeah. And my dad got it, and he's still with us, and he's in his 70s. And they, how they were telling grandpas, oh, you should get it too. You're old. Yeah. My son got it twice, but he's not vaccinated. There was no way in heck I was doing that. I was like, okay, I'm one, I'm an adult. I know the risks. Well, actually, I didn't at the time. I didn't know the risks. I just knew that they had rolled this thing out way too fast. They'd been talking about population control for years, And then
Mhm.
suddenly a pandemic hits and suddenly a vaccine is out there. And I'm going, okay, this all just does not feel right on any level. And I haven't been immunized or vaccinated, like flu shotted since I was in my 20s. So
Right.
I'm not for, jibby jabs, but I am pro-choice. If you want the jibby jab and it makes you feel safer or protected, then go for it. But don't force me to do it, and don't force anybody else to do it. And don't sit there and be cruel to another person because they choose not to do something that you're like so heck bent on doing.
So other than your mom, was there any other motivators, like your work or for travel or for anything else? Was there any other motivators that were pushing you towards it?
It was just my mom. I'm on disability now,
Okay.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm on disability because, wow, we're gonna jump topics real. I have complex PTSD with dissociative disorder, and I started to disassociate in broad daylight. And my doctor was like, I don't really think you should be working anymore.
Okay. And how are you doing with that now? You sound great to me. You seem to be doing fine.
Yeah, I got off all my meds. I was on Zoloft, and it made me end up going psycho. I became very angry and aggressive, so I got off all my meds, and I just, like I told you in an email last night, I found Jordan Peterson.
Mhm. I was gonna go
And
into that. So you found
yeah,
something to listen to and stimulate your brain and start working on that?
yep. And the first video I watched by him, he was talking about God,
Right.
and I just burst into tears. And as I told you, I tried to self delete, and his video was the very first video I seen when I came to. So
Right. So let's let people understand what you're talking about here. So you made a decision and then you woke up the next day and then
mhm,
Jordan Peterson was the first thing that happened after you failed at your decision.
mhm.
And from that point on, you want to go and continue?
Onward and upward. Uh, Dealing with mental illness is a struggle all in itself, but and it wasn't the first time that I tried to self delete, but
Okay.
it will be the last time because I'm in a much better place now. And I find it weird that I try to check out, and the first video that I see when I come to is a video of Jordan Peterson talking about God. And I
Right.
was like, for whatever reason, in that moment, I needed to hear him saying those words. And it really woke me up. And I went, all right, I know what I got to do now. And then it became finding my voice, learning to be okay with having an opinion, that I don't have to follow the liberal hive mind. It's
Mhm.
okay to think differently than them. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Well, unless you're condoning pedophilia, then I don't like you. But,
Right.
if you have an opinion about something that I don't share, if it's not hurting anybody, I don't care. It's just, if it's not concerning me or concerning my community or concerning my country, and my fellow countrymen, then, you're entitled to your own opinion, whether I agree with it or not, as long as it ain't hurting anybody, right?
For sure. For sure. And you continue to follow Jordan Peterson? You've checked out some of his other stuff, maybe picked up a book or two, went through it. What's your journey with Jordan right now?
Ah, wow. Jordan Peterson led me to a whole bunch of other people. Speaking off, like, sorry, my ADHD is going nuts.
I'm good. I'm good.
My brain is going all over the place. You and I need to review What is a Woman, because I have a really cool Matt Walsh story.
Okay.
We really do sometime.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm a
Jordan
big fan of
Peterson,
him.
yeah, me too. And Matt actually was filming What is a Woman when I was first introduced to his channel,
Okay.
and he brought me to tears, man. I for the first time in a really long time, I felt like a man was standing up for women, and it felt personal in a way, like he was standing up for me, you know. And it was a really great feeling, and I'm so glad that I did get to watch the film.
That's a really interesting way to put it. That's the first time I heard someone say that before. Normally, if somebody talked like that, it would be, wow, you're oppressed by males and you're surrendering yourself to males, or you need to be taking care of males and you need to be a strong female. But I understand what you're saying. It's not necessarily that he is male and you're female. There's a certain presence, there's a certain male energy that he has that really feels supportive. It feels encouraging. Is that what you're
Mhm.
referring to?
Yeah, absolutely. And because of my history, my childhood, and the abuse that I suffered, I no longer trusted men. And
Yeah.
because it led me down a path of absolute destruction, self-harming, trying to self-delete, one bad relationship after another. I just knew how to pick them. I went for every wrong guy I could find. And then you start to go, well, it's not me, it's them. They're evil guys. And you get
Mm,
into that liberal hive mind, right?
right.
So you're like, it's them, it's all guys' fault. But then there's that conservative part of me that always was like, what are you talking about, fool? All men aren't like this. Shush your mouth. So I was fighting with myself in my own brain because
Yeah,
I
it
knew
sounds like
better.
yeah, it sounds like you had the little devil and the angel on your shoulder, and the angel sitting on your right shoulder.
I
Um,
actually joke that I have a little Alex Jones sitting on my
mhm.
shoulder, and every now and then he goes, that doesn't look right. And I was like, and I'm like, maybe you're onto something, Alex.
Yeah, we got to work on an Alex Jones impersonation because he's great. He's great. He's hard to take in long doses though, and you
Yeah.
really have to clear out your mind between them.
He's got an energy like nothing. Like he gets his like rag and he's just like, and you're just like, whoa, guy, are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I know his energy is super high, but it could be passion, it could be whatever, it could be fear, it could be a whole bunch of things for him. But yeah, he's one of those voices that you have to take in doses. You don't take too
Yeah.
much of those ones. But yeah, it's cool. But Jordan Peterson is definitely one of the ones who's been waking up a lot of people. And when he was doing a bit of the rounds and the media was coming down on him, they were talking about him as some sort of like incel leader, the lost guys, the boys who don't know what they're doing type of thing. But it was very quick. First, that was debunked right away, but it was becoming very obvious that there was a lot of women also following Jordan. This is not a male only type of thing. And then here we go. Here you're obviously a female, and no transitions. You're born this way. And yeah, you woke up from a very bad night, went and saw Jordan, and then started to connect with him, and then felt his presence in a masculine type of way, which
Yes.
really, which really added to your life. How do we get more people to understand that that presence is real and it is valuable and it can help a lot of people, instead of just flat out rejecting the fact that he is preaching, he's a male, he is not part of the left? How do we get more people exposed to Jordan or people like Jordan?
I wish I could tell you. In all honesty, I think everybody's journey is unique to themselves, and you get
Mhm.
some people who want to move sorry, and then some people who are perfectly content in being in that woe is me role. And those people, you're probably not going to wake up. I mean, all we can do is just keep talking, and
Right.
hopefully, the more we talk, we'll pick up one here, one there, one here, one there, and then five here, five there, and hopefully it just keeps growing.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this comment here coming up from True North here. Jordan Peterson had a super emotional reaction to the incel argument, and he actually said someone needs to give the incels a voice. I remember that one. Yeah,
I remember
absolutely.
too. Yep.
I
And he
it
said,
made
why
me
not?
Yeah, it made me tear up too, because if you're not an emotional person, or if you're not even a human, or something's wrong with you, if you can't watch that clip or a couple of his other ones and understand that this guy is sacrificing it all, he knows it. He could do an easier life. He could really just scale back on some of his conversation points and take a really comfortable life. He's not. He's sacrificing it all. And this is why I had a tweet just the other day that said, I only know of really two Canadians who are completely sacrificing it all: Jordan Peterson, Maxime Bernier. Those are the two that really don't have to do what they're doing, but there they are. And they're standing up for us. Now,
I
you
got to,
watched,
oh, sorry.
go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, you watched that interview with Maxime, and yeah, you have any
I
comments?
did. No, I have a funny Maxime Bernier story.
Oh, let's go to that.
I said to my mom, I said, you know, there's some things about conservatives that I really like. There's some things about liberals I like, and there's some stuff about NDP. And I was like, if I could just take all the things that I like and mash it all together and make the perfect candidate, I would. In walks Maxime Bernier. I'm like, and who are you, sir?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and that's how I was like, never heard of the PPC before ever. Like I said, I was not very political, but I knew
Mhm.
when I started this culture war that I should know something about politics so that I understood what the government was doing in regards to this. And that's how I was like, there he is, the candidate that I've always wanted. He's got everything.
Yeah, hearing a former NDPer say that, we hear that a lot. I got to tell you, I'm not in the PC party, but I do talk to PC people. Obviously, you've seen on here, and
Yes.
that is a very, very common theme that NDPers are the ones that are moving over to PPC, and I could see why. Because you guys are people. You're for the people. You do try to be people. You're trying to be the best version of you can be, and you're trying to get along with your neighbors the best you can. I get it. I totally get
Yep.
it. And then I can see why the People's Party would attract you. Now, you mentioned you have a little piece of conservatism in you. Was that always in you? Was that something that had to grow? And
No,
for
it's
a
always
while,
been there. Mhm.
and did you suppress it at all to hang out with the people you were with and stuff? Because I'm sure a couple of times that little conservative voice would have said, "Ooh, I didn't like that," but you don't necessarily bring it up and say anything. Did that happen to you?
Um, well, see, again, I grew up in the 80s and we all kind of had more conservative values back then,
Hmm.
but we all got sucked into the liberal world as, liberals started to take over. But because of us having those Christian values, those conservative values, we still held on to them, whether or not we actually spoke out loud about it. We
Hmm.
knew that we had them. And me and my friends and my family, we've always been able to talk about what we believe in and what we don't, what we stand for, what we don't stand for, what we will tolerate, what we won't tolerate. Like I said, I've always tried to be as center as humanly possible.
Hmm.
Only to realize I wasn't, but I'm trying to be now. I like
Yeah, no,
hearing
that's good.
people's opinions from all sides, all walks of life. Whether I agree with you or not, I love having conversation.
And that was kind of my next point. So you found us during the POEC days, and I was definitely I'm right wing. I'm conservative. I am the poster boy for everything they hate. Married, children, everything about me is the thing that's not to be anymore. But yet here you are. You're still checking me out. So what brought you to this stream? What kept you at this stream for so long?
Um, okay, for since I've been on YouTube, which started many, many years ago, um, I'd never been introduced to Canadian content. They wouldn't recommend it. I wasn't being recommended Canadian content anywhere. And then on Twitter, I started talking a little bit more openly about the convoy. And my husband, even my own husband, he's like, it's psychological warfare. I was like, what are you, crazy? Because he thought they were honking all day, every day.
Right,
And
right.
so I started to kind of look into things. And I don't know if you know of a YouTube channel called War Campaign.
Oh yeah,
Uh, yeah, they were doing live streaming from there, and
yeah.
from what I could see, what the media was showing you was not what was happening. So I
Mm.
kind of put my ear to the ground and started paying attention, and suddenly Canadian content started being recommended to me. So
There
I
you go.
found you, and I love the little guys. I'm always there for the little guys. And so I'd see you and the other ones. Okay, they've got, 1,000 people watching their stream. Jay's only got X amount. I'm going over to Jay's and throwing my support his way because I'm always for the
Oh,
little guy because I've always been the little guy. So,
I
and
appreciate that. At this stage, it's definitely a compliment. At this stage, it's for sure. That's exactly how I feel. I'm grassroots, independent. I don't have much going on, and that
I,
was always my concern. Sorry, that was my concern when I started. It was, am I too little, and people are going to be drawn to the big ones? I'm not the big light in the field, so am I going to catch any moss? So I'm pleased that there are people out there that said, "Hey, look, let's check out that little guy and see what he's doing." And I
yeah,
guess you liked it.
Yes, you have a great personality. I like the way you interact with people. I like the way you talk with people. You're willing to hear other points of views, even if you don't necessarily agree. And you have this calmness to you. You're not into bashing anybody or putting anybody down. You're just chill. And I was like, this is a vibe I can get with for sure.
Yeah, and it's something I wasn't finding either. Like when I was doing my stuff, like there's a lot of pundits out there that I enjoy. Shapiro's a good one. I even like Crowder, Stephen Crowder, Matt Walsh for sure. I did a lot of mowing of the lawns with him in my ear. I enjoyed him even when, like back in the day when he was just doing it out of his car. And he hasn't changed. He's the same dude that he's always been. He's just gotten like his show's gotten bigger and his reach got bigger. But I really connected a lot with Matt Walsh because he's got a religious background and he has a firm position on what he believes in and what he believes is right. And it is, you know, a lot firmer than most people. But you know, I kind of follow his teaching that we need an anchor in our world, and if you don't have an anchor, you're just going to be drifting all over the place.
Oh, I
So
totally agree with that.
yeah, I was drawn to that too. Now, my wife was probably hearing a lot of the compliments that you gave there and said, "Oh, you don't fully know him," because I have my days as well. I have my days as well, but I do appreciate that. I'm trying to provide the show that I would watch, and I don't like being yelled at, and I like to think. So that's kind of what I'm trying to provide here as well. So I appreciate that you enjoy that.
Yeah.
Um, Now, how about the guests? I brought on quite a few different guests now, not quite across the entire spectrum, but there's been a few of them on there. So far, you've been enjoying that part of the show?
I have. I've been learning so much. Like I said, I've never been political before. So I'm learning as I'm watching you, and you're doing all these interviews, which I absolutely love because, again, I'm getting so many different perspectives. And it's
Mhm.
just like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. This is cool.
Yeah, I was kind of chatting behind the scenes on Twitter with a couple of people, trying to line up some more guests. And I was getting a lot of heat for the Rachel Gilmore one. And really, my approach on that one is I want to talk to every single type of person there is so that I can practice having a conversation with these people so that there's nothing that surprises me or gets me flustered when I'm dealing with real big situations.
I voted yes on that one, by the way, on that poll.
Did you?
Just
I think that's the
just
right
because
answer.
I'm curious to one how she'd handle the situation because
Yeah,
she comes off as quite a lunatic at times.
at
Um,
times. Yeah.
and it's like, all right. So I'm curious how she would try to maneuver the conversation to where she's kind of in charge. That's
Hmm.
how I feel like she might go. And so I'm curious. I would be curious to see how the conversation would go for sure. So I voted yes.
Yeah, because my take on it is she just lost her job. She's overcompensating on Twitter. She's overcompensating on TikTok right now. She's trying to hook her mom up with somebody. I'm not joking. Like on her Twitter right now, she's like, "Here's my mom, single. Reach out." I'm not joking. She's got her mom on there. This to me are all signals of a family that doesn't have a full family. They're searching for that male energy, both of them. She's searching for a father with her mother, and her mother's looking like it's incredible how what's missing in their lives are good male energy, but what they scream on the public front is, well, those are the enemies and all that kind of stuff. So I think that she's being forced to go through a bit of a transition, odd word to have to use here, of her realizing that what's missing in her life is strong, loving males. And with her current vibe, she's not going to attract that. So she seems to me to be just lashing out and very angry and blaming anything and everything for her loneliness. And that's what I see. I see a human there that's really an evil path. She's on an evil path and she's hurting a lot of people. But I bet you she's super, super lonely. And that could be her problem. And I just want to talk to her. If she wants to
Yeah.
yell at me for, like, it could be she comes on, yells at me, "I can't believe you had me on here. This is stupid," and it hangs up. All right, that's fine too. If we talk for 2 hours and she ends up crying and confesses that the biggest problem was she can't find her main love, that's awesome too. And if she says, "Hey, look, here was a nice conversation. I still don't see your guys' point of view, but you guys aren't so bad," that's a win. That's a win.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
yeah, Yeah, and if we can show other people, look, a West guy from Alberta, white, male, married, hetero, all the things that they hate, and then the anti of that, and we're able to sit and talk. We don't have to solve issues. We don't have to even persuade each other and come to an agreement. But the simple fact that we can have dialogue, I think, would be a very good start. And that's what I'm
Absolutely.
going with that. Yeah, I don't think she's going to say yes. I don't even think we're getting to the point where she even responds. Like
I
I
think she'd
think,
be too scared to. In all
yeah,
honesty, I think you would challenge her, and as a liberal, I kind of know what it is to be one. She'd end
yeah.
up baffling on like blah, 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 as she was trying to explain something to you, and then she'd try to remember the talking points, the words that she's supposed to use. But I think you'd kerfuffle her.
Well, that wouldn't be my goal. My goal wouldn't be to rattle her at all. My goal would be to make her feel very comfortable because I do want to talk to the person, not the public persona that she's created. There is still a person behind that. It may
Oh,
not be a very
absolutely.
good person. I don't know. It may be a very sad or lost person. I don't know. But I do believe, redemption's a thing, right? You can absolutely be atoned. That's a real thing. And people, maybe they have to be reminded that that is a path available to them. Because I do think she's going to be going through, and it would be sad if she's going through a depression that she's hiding with anger, because people do that. There's a type of depression that you hide behind anger. It would be really sad if something bad happened to her because she went down that road too far.
Mhm.
That's my empathy speaking because I really believe everybody deserves, well, as many chances as they ask for, frankly, as many chances as they, look for redemption on. You can get it. But it also might be a big mistake. I might go on there and all the trolls might attack me, and for some reason it overwhelms everything, and that's a bad mistake. That'll be a very good lesson for me to learn at this
Yeah.
stage. I could pick myself up and start again. But I'm trying to prepare myself for the big fight because I think the Rachel Gilmers of the world are, you know, the D League. They're not the A League. The A League are the Trudeaus and the Freelands and those people.
Mm.
So, I was a fan of Nintendo and I played Punch Out. So, you have to take a few punches at the beginning to get all the way to Mike Tyson. And that's kind of what I see this as. I see an interview with like Rachel Gilmore. It would be a good way to try and connect to the human to see if I could, but it would also be a great way to practice dealing with somebody who absolutely, if they could have their way, I wouldn't exist. So that would be an interesting conversation to have.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, but I don't think it will happen. But what ended up coming out of it is it got a bunch of attention. like, like I wasn't trying to get all that attention. I really wanted to know if my listeners would have the tolerance to sit through an episode with her, and the answer is no. But what I got out of it was there's 150 people that said yes, so that would be my biggest audience if I actually did that. So what I got out of it is more people would show up to my show than any other show, and that includes Max. So it might be worth it if she reaches out. And I also
Yeah.
say to people, if she does reach out and she does admit or agree to be on the show, I think that's a big step on her part. She knows what she's doing and getting involved in. So if she did do that, I think that would be quite the signal. I think it would be
Yeah.
very interesting to see where that went.
Even if she was just willing to listen,
Mhm.
that says a lot. That says a lot about her character if she's just even willing to listen.
Yeah. But if she showed up for a debate, a fight, maybe she practiced, maybe she got a bunch of talking points, like you said, and she might just jump through them all and railroad me with them or steamroll me with him. Look, I'm a paralegal. I've been in court. I've been defendant, plaintiff. I talked to judges. She wouldn't scare me. She wouldn't scare me at all because there's no
Mhm.
actual authority and there's no actual anything behind her bark. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. But hey, it would be good for ratings. Worst case
Yeah,
scenario. Yeah. It'd be like a Jerry
absolutely.
Springer episode. Okay, but enough about Rachel. I did want to get into. Okay, so I'm sorry to bring you back to this.
It's
You
okay.
lost you lost your husband, and you were going through some depression. You found Jordan Peterson. You're coming out. You're starting to find cool things. You're getting some more Canadian content. You find this show and others, and you're starting to feel uplifted a bit more. That there's some good people out there. They think the way you do. Then all of this stuff really started happening with like gender really bad, like over the last year or so, gotten really, really bad. And now you want to stand up, you want to come out to your friends and family and you say, okay, What are you? Are you telling them you're a conservative? Are you telling them you're switching parties? What is it you want to tell your friends and family as you're coming out?
Um, wow. Uh,
You put
I
the
want to
message out. Let's go ahead and talk to them.
I want to tell them that I'm not going to sit idly by and watch as women are erased, men are treated like crap, and if you keep going for the kids, I'm going to get real mad. Because as someone who has looked into the eyes of a groomer, I know exactly how they work. And I'm telling
Mm,
you, I'm seeing it right across the board. And I do not think, in my personal opinion, I do not think this is actual members of the LGB and the real T. I think that
right.
they've been hijacked. Like, Justin Trudeau came out and he started passing law after law after law. It's like, what do you think a pedophile and a rapist and a groomer is going to do when, the Lord of the land says, here's the keys to the kingdom, have at it, you won't be punished at all you have to do is say you're trans. Of course they're
Hmm.
going to invade our spaces. There's a case that just finished in Toronto. This guy who identified as a woman went into a woman's shelter. As someone who's been in a woman's shelter, I can tell you they're bulletproof. This is where women are supposed to be able to go to feel safe.
Hmm.
And this man invaded this space and essayed two women. It's like, I'm not down with that. I'm not down with that. Keep your penis out of our sports, keep your penis out of our bathrooms, you know what I mean? And it's nothing against people who genuinely suffer from gender dysphoria, but I don't
Right.
think that's what these athletes are doing. They can't compete in men's sports because they suck. So they're coming over to women's sports so they can dominate. I think real predators are the ones that want, into women's spaces. It's real predators. I don't think a real trans person is like, oh no, I need to use your bathroom. For the most part, they don't want to make women uncomfortable. So they were like, I'll go somewhere else. But we're getting this new mass hysteria of people like women. Did you know that there's been like a 5,000% increase in female to male transitioning? And
Female to male?
it's like 5,000. Yeah, female to male.
Yeah.
This is unheard of. Like, it's like we're just chopping up these girls. And I don't think they have gender dysphoria. I think they have body dysmorphia, which I suffer from. And
Okay.
there's such a self-loathing when you have body dysmorphia. And I think that these girls are being told, oh, you're just in the wrong body. Let's give you a double mastectomy, make you look like a guy, and you'll be great. You'll be one of the guys. And so these girls who hate themselves, they end up believing it. And it's like, oh, what are you doing to these young girls? You know what I mean? It's so heartbreaking, all of it. It's like it's so overwhelming at times because it
Right.
feels like you're being smacked in the face with something new every day. It's like when you think you haven't seen it all, or you've seen it all, excuse me, you've seen it all, boom, they do something and you're like, really?
Right.
Like, we're going here. Like, some of the books that were coming into classes, some of the things that were being said to girls to get them to be convinced. And then you've got, I call them whack-a-moms, because I think they're whack-a-moles and we
Right.
should be bopping them on the head as they keep popping up. It's single liberal mothers that are doing this, and I guess you could say I'm one of them, but that's what I'm finding. It's not actual parents. It's not families that are doing this to kids. It's liberal moms, single moms who, for whatever reason, I have a theory as to the reason, but they can't get a date. So they're trying to manipulate a situation and guilt people into dating them, or
Hmm.
or say, look, my kid's trans, give me the likes and the clicks and the comments, stunning and brave, right? And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the attention. And I understand that. We've all wanted to be part of something. And as a former liberal, I'm definitely going to say former liberal, I know what that feels like, to want desperately to be a part of something. I grew up and I got fat. I have a lot of stuff to say about body positivity, but And people say, you have no right to talk about that stuff. And I was like, no, I've got a leg. I got a leg to stand on in a lot of this, as someone who is friends with the LGBT and someone who has been fat, who is a woman, who has been an undesirable, who, has been in bad relationships. I got a lot to bring to the table.
Well, I'm glad you
Sorry.
found your way here because we love you. We think you're great the way you are. We wouldn't want
Thank
you
you.
to change. We got no problems with who you are. We're getting comments like, Tammy has such a natural intelligence out of Ellen and a natural sense of humor
Oh,
too.
thank you
And
guys.
yeah, this I think there was something about you. It was more than just your name for me because we'll get to that in a second for me. But there was something about you in the chat when you would come up in my screen here. I'm like, oh, there's Tammy again. Let's see what she's saying. Oh, cool. Well, there she is like that. Oh, that's cool. And I never would have thought that you had a liberal background based on the chats and stuff. It's not that it matters to me, and I'm just pleased that I have all types of people in my chat, but I never would have gotten that from your chat. But there was something about your energy and the way you would say it and show up and be there and participate that I was drawn to. I think it's also because of your name. Okay.
Yes.
So I had a sister.
That is kind of wild, man. Sorry, I'll sit back and let
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, no, I had a sister, and I got to use past tense because she did pass. She was my younger sister. Okay, she was born in 1981, and she passed in 2012. She had a very similar story to you. She was the caring one, the one that would care for everybody, be out there to help everybody, do what they can. But she had abuse. We all did, and our entire family did. But she got it the worst, a whole bunch of different ways, and she struggled with that, and we lost her. Okay. She didn't do it to herself directly, but she did the long-term one, which is the don't care for yourself way, and allowed her body to just fall apart. So when I saw your name, because it's spelled the same way, and it's a unique way to spell Tammy, it's not spelled with an I everywhere. I'm like, oh, that reminded me of my sister each time. But your energy reminded me about the positive sides of her because she was such a giving person and a smart person, and it was such a tragedy for us because she was one of the smartest ones in our group. But this is where abuse can take people. Okay, abuse is real. It's trauma. It could be lifelong. You mentioned you had a type of PTSD. This is something that's difficult for people to reach out for help with. This was the challenge with my sister. She stayed strong. Like she put on this strong persona. Like we didn't know. Like it was a big surprise when all the information came out. But she put on such a strong persona and fought this image or provided this image, but inside was a very different person. So what do we say to people like my sister and then the people that went through struggles like you to let them know that no, there's people out there that do care about you, even if we haven't met. And there's definitely places for you to go ahead and start to connect again with people. Um, your story really inspired me because you came close a couple times at least, but you're never going back. So that fills me with a ton of hope. How can we help other people in this super dark time when women are being erased and relationships are being stretched and people are fighting within families and vaccine this and politics that? How do we remind them there is a path forward and there's a good path forward? You
There
found one.
is.
You found a really good one. How do we remind
Um,
them that that exists and how do we help them get there?
oh, wow. It took me so long. Oh, shit. Sorry.
No, please, it's okay.
It took me so long to get here. I don't really know how to say to someone else, just never give up. Don't ever give up. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It may seem like it's really, really far away, but it's achievable. Um, find your people. Find a group of people who will help bring out the best in you. And I had been surrounding myself with not so great people, so I had to kind
Yeah.
of limit my circle. And then I found other Canadians, like-minded Canadians, and God, man, you guys really helped me out through a really difficult time. And, I say that on Twitter all the time. Like when my husband died, you guys were all there for me. On my anniversary, you guys were all there for me. On my birthday, you guys were all there for me. And it's just like, I would tell someone, never give up, because it's the hardest struggle that you will ever go through in your entire life. But there is hope. I swear it. As someone who's been there a lot, trust me, there's hope.
You
Sorry.
turn to Twitter. No, don't be. You turn to Twitter. You turn to YouTube. You started listening to new voices. You started to reach out to new people. And you were welcomed immediately, I would assume.
I
when you
was
started to reach
actually.
out.
I hid the fact that I was a liberal for, as you didn't know. I kind of didn't really touch on my liberal side because I was afraid. Here I was meeting like-minded individuals, but I slightly leaned more liberal than they did. And I thought the minute I mention that I'm liberal, they're all going to disown me. They're not going to talk to me anymore, And I had to get over that too. And just being here and being welcomed into the chat. And then there was other chats. I even actually went to one of Jeremy Mackenzie's live streams as well. And his chat welcomed me with open arms too.
Yeah. That's a big family over there.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually friends with a few of the Diagolon members. I don't know what.
Yep.
Is that what we call them? Yeah.
Yeah. Canada's
and of course,
largest terrorist group.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, you're friends with, and I'm like, so again, if you're nice to me, I'm going to be nice to you, and there's a few members who are absolutely hilarious, and I look forward to their posts every day.
Well, here's the thing about that entire group. They never once were violent, even though they were accused of it, even though their leader got arrested, even though they were under attack, even though they were infiltrated, even though they were name called, even though they had bank accounts froze. A whole bunch of things happened to these guys. No violence. Just the willpower to stand up and not to cave to them. And that was, I think, what upset them more. I think they would have actually preferred to have violence brought to them. But it was the non-violence and it was the standing up anyways, which I think sent one heck of a message. And it's why it didn't work. That's why Dagenham didn't turn out to be a terrorist group like they tried to say at the POEC. And that's why a lot of egg on the face for that one. I'm not part of their group. I kind of hang out went to a couple of their things. And then I heard what they say about politicians, especially new politicians, trying to connect to them. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if he's talking to me, but he sure sounds like it. So I gave him some space. But I think over the last year, I've demonstrated to their group that.
Sorry, I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, we're atypical here. We're not what you would normally think as an independent journalist or even an independent politician, which is I'm happy about because that is who I am, and I don't want to change into something else just to pander and get attention from other people. So I'm glad it's working naturally. That's great. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm super happy that you are joining us for a couple other reasons. I wanted to speak to real Canadians, and they're not willing to come on. There's so many no's. I got more no's than yeses when it's coming onto the show. And you're one of the first. Yeah, I'm going through the list right now. You are the first, other than maybe Wayne, but Wayne's an activist as well. You're the first guest who isn't an activist, isn't a political leader. You don't have, you're not in the media, you're not a reporter. You are a Canadian. So I thank you for coming on, because what I hope will happen from this is other Canadians will start saying yes now. They will
I hope
not
so
be
too.
afraid. Yeah, they won't be afraid to come on and tell their story. Good stories, bad stories, otherwise. And what I'm really, really excited about, so the first part was, I think you're going to motivate some other Canadians to speak. What I'm really, really excited about is I think you're going to motivate the ones who are so scared right now to speak, to maybe speak. And these are going to be the women out there, the ones that are abused, the ones who went through some horrible things in their private life, but it's very similar to what's happening in their political life too, that they fall into that abuse pattern and stay there. So maybe we can speak a little bit to the women who are going through abuse and are kind of stuck into the pattern of the abuser and being stuck there. Let's talk to those women for a little bit, because I can't. I can offer a place to chat, but I can't speak to them directly. Could you maybe speak to them and remind them that your voice is a lot louder than you think? And as soon as you put your power behind it, and I believe Railroad had made a comment here. I don't see it, but there was something about having power. As soon as you add power to your voice, you will definitely be heard. So let's go ahead and remind women that are stuck in, it could be a personal abusive situation or the one with their government, to go ahead and try and break out of that.
Well, wow.
Sorry, yeah, no, this is what I think. This is one of the things I think we can help with. So showing
It's
that strength that you're showing today is what I'm talking about.
again, I think it's about surrounding yourself with people who give you the courage to break free, whether it be break free from your own mindset, from an abusive relationship, from a political party. It's surrounding yourself with the people who will continue to lift you up rather than not care about what your opinions are. Oh, well, suck it up, buttercup.
Right.
No, it's find those people who are willing to say, you're worth it. And you know what? And you're not alone. There are so many of us out there, more than we care to admit.
Hmm.
And the more women that can speak out, maybe we can change the minds of some of the ones that we don't think will ever change. We might be able to reach okay, maybe not the far left, but like I said, I think there's a lot more people like me on the left who are just afraid to speak. And, whether you're being, I hate even just thinking about abuse on any level.
Hmm.
Because I've been in abusive relationships. I was
Right.
obviously abused as a child. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And that's what I'm seeing in front of me that's happening to these kids. And as a person who's been through it, and I would say this to you mothers, especially if you're a mother and you have been abused on any level, you have to look at these kids and say, I don't want this for these kids. I know what it did to me. I got the scars to prove it.
Hmm.
I'm lucky my scars have faded, but because I was a really bad self-harmer. And you're not alone. If you self-harm, you're not alone. There is, you can get through that too. I've not self-harmed in a long time either. I've been getting into a really good place. Find yourself a YouTuber that makes you laugh. Find yourself a friend on Twitter that you can just shoot the shit with, just someone you can connect with outside of your own bubble. Because I find that when we're in that bubble, we get stuck there. And
Hmm.
it's like a hamster running in a hamster wheel. So you try to be a little bit more open and go outside the bubble. And I think that people get scared. They're like, oh, I don't know how to meet new people. I don't know what to say, and I'm like, just throw yourself into the ring, man. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, that's
You
what you
know?
did. You just do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I just dove in head first. And I was be eager to learn, be willing to listen and be eager to learn. And man, the whole world seems so different once you do. It's a really amazing feeling.
I agree with that. And here's a weird question for you. The first time you heard something on this show that you didn't like, because I'm sure I'm not 100% your type, your cup of tea, but it's something that you didn't like. What kept you here? Why didn't you just say, "Oh, he has that opinion, I'm out of here"? What kept you here?
Um, well, one, I love differences of opinions. I don't have to agree with everything everybody says. I don't agree with everything Jordan Peterson says. I don't agree with everything Matt Walsh says, but I respect
Mhm,
them enough to hear them out. And
mhm,
you and I have differences of opinions in regards to certain subjects. And I'm okay with that because I feel you have the right to have your opinion. And I just view things differently. And it doesn't mean I'm wrong. Depends on who you ask. Like
sure.
today, was it today? Yes, it was today. You guys were talking. Dear, man, I'm really freaked out
Mm,
about going to this place. You guys were talking about abortion,
right,
and it was supposed to be safe, legal, rare.
right.
That's always been my stance, right? It was supposed to only be if the baby was not going to be viable outside the womb, the mother's life was at risk, the baby or the mother or both were at risk. And I also believed that in the case of SA or family member doing it to you, It should not be your go-to, but it should be allowed to be an option. That's how I felt about it. But nowadays, we're seeing women use it for birth control, which is absolutely disgusting. And I did not know the Canadian laws. And you were talking about that this morning, how many Canadians didn't know the abortion laws in Canada.
Right. It's
And
so true.
when I found out, I was like, no. Because I, like most probably other people in Canada, thought we were like the States, you know, where you had a cutoff time, right? Where, yeah, but gender, like sex-based abortion, like what is wrong with you, Justin Trudeau? You know, like, ugh, it's so gross. It's just so gross. Sorry,
Yeah,
but that's
no
something
problem.
that we agree but kind of disagree on. I lean a little bit more liberal, and I was like, oh, do we talk about that? I was like, I don't want his chat to hate me, because I think it was Ellen who said in the chat this morning that it's a slippery slope.
Yep.
And it was the same thing with the LGBT. We just want to get married, you know. And it wasn't the only thing that they wanted back then, you know. But again, we were warned even back in the 90s, this is going to become a slippery slope, and here we are. You know,
100%. The conversations back then was early term only. It was, we're not doing it for gender, that's for sure. Sex, that's for sure. We're not doing vanity babies. In other words, getting rid of them because they're not perfect. Back then, we were like, absolutely, we're not doing any of that. It was only for emergencies, mother's life, baby is causing a medical problem or something along those lines, which would be incredibly rare.
Yes,
Now
even Matt Walsh says it's like this % of the population.
Yeah, and even then, there's still a lot of arguments against even that, because you can do some other stuff. But when it came to the fact that TikTok, and they're like bragging about it, and how many for you and how many for you, and they got to think of body count now, and my goodness.
I seen this one video on TikTok, and she's like, happy aboversary. It's been 1 year since I've had my abortion. And I'm like, you're a sick pig. Yeah, I can't say what I really wanted to say about her.
Yeah. And I think that culture thing was very recent. And that was when you had actresses stand up and say, because I did, I'm a success. I am proud that I did it because I am who I am today. And you even had other ones like Leah something, that girl from Girls, that when I did Girls. She actually came out and said she wished she had one so that she can, contribute to that conversation more. And it's like, wow, like, it's no longer safe, legal, rare,
I was offered an abortion when I was pregnant with Nicholas, and I looked at her and I said, don't you even, you can, so when you were talking about your story about how when you were in Ontario.
So you had prenatal tests and they found something?
Yeah, there was a precursor for Down syndrome. And I said, first and foremost, Down syndrome is not a disability to me, so you can just shut your mouth. It's not happening. Yep. It never has been, So when you were saying that, Down syndrome is beautiful, I was like, it is. We actually, we have a young boy here. He's in high school. He's so excited now. Most competitive, loving, witty, just the sweetest soul. His name is Sammy, and he would wait outside because they know my son and him no longer go to school together. But he would wait in his van that would be taking him home, and he'd be like, bye, Nicholas. Bye, Nicholas's mom. Because he never knew my name. So it was just Nicholas's mom, and I just love that kid. I really, really did.
No, they're incredibly giving and loving. Yeah, he's still around. Good. Incredibly loving and giving for sure. See, here's the thing about them. They have an extra chromosome. Right? So that's the issue. They have an extra chromosome. Why and who got to decide that was not a good thing? Because they're the best people I know. If we could have all people that had the same behavior and attitude,
absolutely.
Sure, your speech might be a little bit different and stuff, but if we could have everybody with that attitude, I guarantee you this would be a nicer world. So I'm not even convinced it's an abnormality. It might be a evolution. It might be a step in the right direction. So I'm not on the board that it's a mutation. I'm on the side that I don't think we know what it is yet, but it's beautiful. It's a very,
I agree.
very lovely thing.
Speaking of kids with Down syndrome, have you seen the drag queens that have Down syndrome?
No,
Oh, thank God.
no, and that would break my heart because I
Yeah.
know that they don't believe that. They totally, bought it. That's not something they believe.
It's a group of them in Britain that I truly believe are being exploited. You
For
know,
sure.
one of them poses for the camera and says, "Where's my martini, baby?"
Mhm.
They're putting them in tights and getting them to twerk in front of people, and I'm going, "What are you doing?" Like, these are the most beautiful human beings, the
Yep.
most naive and innocent and pure. They're just light.
They love to
How could
please.
you do this? You
Mhm.
know? And then you ask yourself, where are their parents? Why are their parents letting them? And they're like, oh no, people with Down syndrome should be allowed to be drag queens too. I said, they don't even care what a drag queen is. You know? I mean, they'd be friendly to a drag queen, you know, because
Mhm.
they're friendly to everybody, right? That's just
Oh,
who they are as people.
sure, and when they're doing it, they're not doing it for the reasons that the okay, I'm gonna be careful here. So there's a group of drag queens, which would be performers. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think a lot of people had problems with those guys. So you had like this lady on the Britain TV. She passed away recently, but Dame something. Um,
Edna.
yeah, there you go. So when it was an entertainment thing, it wasn't really a sexual thing. It was just a dress up thing. That was original drag, and a lot of people had problems with that because that's a slippery slope. But other people said, well, they're just doing it for entertainment's sake. But now it's turned into a lifestyle, a way of being, and an identity. And
Mm-hmm.
I have spoken to people who do the drag, and they're like, that's not drag. What they're doing is something different. That is completely different." And we used to have a term for transvestite, I think it was a term.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the term that that group was being identified as. Now that label's gone, and now it's drag in general,
Mm-hmm.
storytime hour. But even the drag community is saying no, and you got gays against groomers saying
Love
no.
them.
Yeah, it's incredible.
They should
And they
they should never have had to be formed though, you know. Had but you know, we've let it get so far that they finally said enough is enough. No, no,
mhm.
no. But I'm
So we
glad they
have
are here.
yeah, so we have that push, which we would say was is inside of that community. And now what we're seeing today in Ottawa, this is good news, is we're seeing a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of parents getting up and saying enough. Yes, there's a bit of a Muslim connection where they're very firm, and they're even people are using the term intolerant. That's the wrong term. That's not the right term. They have their beliefs. Okay, look, it's intolerant to force onto them any new beliefs.
Absolutely.
That's where the intolerance is. But I don't see Muslims there. What I see are parents. I see parents there. And the one thing about the Muslim community is they absolutely take their parenthood very, very seriously from very, very early because they understand that parenthood creates the next generation. So they get it. I am really impressed to see a bunch of other Canadians, parents, standing up as well. And I called this one a while ago because I'm a parent, and this is why I left Ontario, and this is why I'm running for office, is because of the threat to my children from the government. So I was seeing that this could be the line in the sand. You go after too many parents and you go after them harshly, you're gonna have a problem. So
Yep.
I'm actually thankful that in the United States, they started to investigate and go after parents when they were being riley up, and you had the Daily Wire talking about this and exposing this, and a bunch of people were starting to understand that the FBI were now classifying parents as domestic terrorists. Those were the lines in the sand. Those were being developed right there. That's exactly what I was hoping to see because you're criminalizing parents now. And that's when ideology and politics can come out of the picture because the only thing else that can stay in that room is parenthood. There really isn't any room for even religion in that conversation. It's just straight up parenthood.
Yeah.
So, do you think we might be seeing it with this push in Ottawa with Josh and Billboard Chris and the rest of the group? Do you think the cracks have happened? Like we actually have cracks now, and are we
They're
starting to
starting
put a
for
wedge?
sure.
Yeah, and are we starting to put a wedge in there and really starting to make some movement on this? What do you think? Do you seen that?
I think it's starting. Like I said to my mom, I said, this isn't going to end how they want it to.
No.
Unfortunately, I'm worried that people are going to get hurt before it actually comes to a halt. That's
Yes.
my biggest fear because, as
Yes.
we know, the loving, intolerant left just love to be violent with everybody. And it's like, I just feel like someone is going to get hurt. And I and I just want to see if there's a way that we can figure out how to avoid something like that. But I think whether it be here in Canada or whether it be in the United States or it be over in Europe, I think someone is going to get hurt. And that's what's going to make everybody go, oh, because it's starting to form now. So more and more people are going, maybe these parents are right. Maybe they're, maybe we should look a little bit more, because I guarantee you a lot of parents have no idea what is going on in their kids' schools. I didn't know for almost a year. No one told me. I was not given the option to opt out. I was not told what the curriculum was going to be. I was like, and then when I found out, it was like by chance, my son going, hey, I can be a drag queen. I was like, what? So, and I guarantee most of these parents have no idea. And they're not, a lot of parents don't go online or don't do the political stuff. I have friends on Facebook who are very LGBT friendly. And I've had friends go, oh, I'll take my kid to see a drag show. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
We all know, I used to work drag shows. I used to help the drag queens get ready. I know exactly what is entailed. And even if it's just a musical number, because we got our, our Chers and our Madonnas and our Tina Turner drag queens. But even if it's just a musical performance, even with it just being musical, there's still a sexual vibe to it. They're going around and collecting money. And they're like, ooh, oh, pay the queen, right? So there's a sexual element to it. And it's like, why would you want to take your kid to that? Why would you want a grown man reading a story to your kid? It's there. I've always felt there's a right way to go about things and a wrong way to go about things. And just shoving drag queens in little children's faces is not the right way to go about things. I don't think kids should be around drag. But if you happen to know a gay person, just casually introduce your kid to a gay person. You don't have to tell your kid. It's like we right now in, current times, we actually have to tell people, you need to tell your children, this is a homosexual, this is a lesbian, this is a trans person. You have to go into all these gory details rather than just saying, this is our dog trainer who's a trans. I mean, I'm telling you, I never said to my son, this is a trans man. This is our dog trainer. That's it. This is your Uncle Ron. This is your Uncle Bill. This is your Uncle Rob. I didn't need to go into any details. And that's the way it should be. It age appropriate for sure. And these kids, some data was just released in the States. Each young adult that they trans in the United States is worth $1.3 million per year. And I feel that's what the push is, to get them younger and younger and younger, to get more money. Because if you can get them on hormones at a younger age, that's 5 more years than you had prior. So that's 5 more years of money. You can get surgery at 17 now or whatever it might be. They've done double mastectomies on 12-year-olds. So it's like, whoa. So you get a 12-year-old to go chop off her chest, and you've got 10 more years than you would have had before. It's all about money. We need to figure out how we can cut them off at the knees. Because if they don't get their money, they will bugger off. You know what I mean? Hopefully.
Yeah. So Thursday we have Donald Best on, and he's going to be talking about the industrial complex. So it's an entire machine. It's worth like $10 billion now, and it's growing. It's one of the biggest industries that are growing right now is the trans industry, and that includes mostly surgeries and pharmaceuticals, and then therapies. There's a lot of money being spent on it. Now, I want to kind of trying to see where I can go with this one now. I wanted to talk a bit about the search for normalcy. So after you had this stuff happen, you found this stream, you found other stuff, you're starting to connect with people now. Now your life is starting to feel a little bit more normal to you. You kind of feel like you're where you need to be because it doesn't feel weird or odds to you or foreign to you. Great. So now how do we keep that moving for you? And how do we make sure that you keep your growth going and keep feeling like you've got a family now, at least with this community? Because what I want to get to the point is, what is your new normal going to be? What do you want your new normal to be? And are we going to be part of that? And
Sorry,
maybe
my
you
son
have
just
some,
popped in.
yeah, yeah, and maybe you'll continue with the camera because I watched some of your
I
videos
want
and,
to, yes.
yeah, the intention was to start doing more talking, more coming out.
Yes.
And I liked that one video that you had where you were testing it out, and I
Oh, uh-oh, what happened? Oh, no.
still hear you. Can you still hear me?
Yep, here we go.
Yeah,
You're back.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, no, that's my end because I can see my internet isn't great right now. So if I drop, you can keep talking because people can still hear you
Oh, okay.
and see you, but it will be me that's. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, what does your new normal look like, and what are you going to do with the camera? Because when I watched your video, you were super excited about getting it, setting it up, and then my favorite part was you kind of forgot you were on camera for a second and you just started talking about your life, and that was the part that I think was the better part, because you weren't trying to do anything. You just all of a sudden kind of switched into coffee with Tami mode because it was as if we were having coffee with you. So I'm curious, are you going to continue to do that? Maybe a half an hour show and start there or something?
I would love to, actually. I'd love to do what you kind of do and have people on and get differences of opinions, and
Hmm.
see where, where other people are coming from. See if maybe I might be able to change a mind or two. And so I would love to. I'd also love to do reaction videos because some of the stuff out there is just so ridiculously funny or stupid or bizarre.
Hmm.
You just like, really, really, So just one second. Nicholas. Oh, he's
Can
not
we
here.
say hi to? Can we say hi to him if he
I
pops
told him
in?
he,
Okay,
Nicholas. Sorry if that was too loud. Oh,
no problem. I'll just.
he
He's
keeps
good.
popping in. He keeps popping in, but he's not here right at the moment. I don't know where he went. I think he went back upstairs, but he keeps going like this, popping around the popping around the door. It's like,
Well,
hi.
that would be cool if he can show up. So yeah, I think you're onto something because we need more culture on our side. We need to have a lot more voices out there and do something with it. Like a Canadian version of Libs of TikTok. Somebody out there who's finding the stuff and bringing it forward in a Canadian way because it's for Canadians by Canadians.
Mhm.
I would watch that. Maybe you could put together a clip show of funny things you find, and maybe
Yeah.
it's recorded and then you put it up and not necessarily live. But let's do something. Let's try and figure out a way to do something.
Okay, sounds like a plan. I'm down for that because it's definitely something. My mom's like, you're natural when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm a
Hmm.
Pisces. I'm a Pisces, so I like to be creative and funny, and I'm outgoing. I can be quite crazy. I'm actually quite tame today. I'm a mouthy liberal. Sorry, I got the foul mouth like one. I just try not to uh, use it inappropriately. So I've been minding my P's and Q's here. And on my channel, I might be a little bit more freer with F bombs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no doubt, no doubt. On a tech side, I can help guide you in the right direction on that. It's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. You joined here and you were able to do the camera and the audio. It's not much more than that. Okay, that's like the harder part. You can get started. You can do something.
Okay, I would love that. I mean, hang on just a second,
Mm.
Nicholas. Like, I keep hearing him. I don't know what he's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
He
And
wasn't
and you've got.
feeling too well today, so
Oh, has he got something, or just a little bit down today?
it's. I think he's getting a cold again. He gets sick like every other week. It's like weird, but it's just like a couple days, cough, 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 then he's better. And I'm like, maybe
Hmm.
it's his allergies or something. Come here. He is. Here he comes.
Oh, right on.
Come around this
I
way.
gotta make. I gotta make sure I'm all ready. I'm a little nervous to meet Nicholas now.
Or
Let's
yeah, come this way, bud.
straighten the hat out. There we go. Everything's good.
Just you can't see. The camera's up here. He's worried because he's in his undies.
That's okay. Well, let's keep it below the waist, the camera,
Yeah, I
above
told
the
him.
waist.
I
Yeah.
said, Come down. Sneak around. He's shy. He's playing so shy.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, you can tell him that we're really glad that he's a happy young man. And if he can poke his head around, that'd be kind of cool.
He goes, I don't know if I can do it.
Oh, you can do it. You can do it. How about he come and tell us he can't do it?
Oh, he's on his phone now. Come say hi, will you? Hi. Oh, he said.
Hey, we heard him. Very cool.
Oh, he's smiling.
Well,
because he can't hear you.
Right.
Here,
yeah, let me ask.
Here, hang on, Nicholas. Here, grab this one and say, hey, Jason. Oh, no. Okay, now he's not. Now he's dropping my. It's okay.
Hello, Nicholas. Can you hear me?
Yes.
He's got a little bit of cold there.
Do you like to play video games?
Yeah.
Do you do Minecraft?
Yeah.
Roblox?
No.
Not that one yet? Do you have a Nintendo Switch? What do you play on?
I play on computer, phone, and other consoles.
The computer, the phone. He has an Xbox and an Xbox One.
Wonderful. So he's on the computer playing games. So what else did he do on the computer? Any programming? Does his homework on the computer as well?
He likes doing what is that? You like your Forza on there, right?
Forza on my Xbox.
Oh, Forza's on the Xbox. Transport Fever, is that the one on there? Yeah. He plays Minecraft on the computer. I'm trying to get him into some coding because I think that this one is going to be a very technical kind of kid. When he gets
awesome.
When he gets it in his head, he knows everything about the subject. If he likes it, he goes full on. Do you want to pop around and say hi?
We're friends now. I know about your Xbox. I know about your computer games.
Whole chat?
Yeah, the whole chat will see you, yes.
Yeah.
Well, then get up on the chair and just poke your head around.
Yeah, we'd like to meet you, Nicholas. You sound like a nice young man. Oh, I have hair. We have hair. This is like a birth. There we go. Hello.
Just tuck down.
Yeah, it's a boy. Here we go. Hey, Nicholas. Nice to see you. Very cool.
Don't forget your phone, sweetheart.
Yeah.
All right, so it's gonna be called Tami and Nicholas in the morning, right? That's what we'll be the show.
He would probably be totally down for that. He really would.
Well,
I have a streamer friend who she's just a small-time streamer, but she's from London, Ontario, and she says hi to him all the time, and he just thinks she's the bee's knees.
Well, it would be neat to listen to a show of you and him talking about just general things that are important to him. That would be kind of neat. I would watch some of that. Now, let me ask the chat. Do you guys think Tami should be making her own show? Do you think she's got what it takes? Do you think she's got the talent? I think so. She's got the camera. We know that. But what do you think? I think Tami would connect with many people, Ellen says. I agree. I agree with that completely. Because there's a lot of people that are left. They're quiet. They've been abused. They don't know how to break out. They're thinking of self-delete. All of that is very, very true. And I do believe you would connect with a lot of people in that as well. I think you're very brave and strong. So that's impressive. Even showing up here, you've already done 143 minutes or an hour and 43 minutes. So no problem for you. Very brave. But I want to kind of close up here and talk about maybe your final thoughts and reflections on how you want the rest of 2023 to go. Are you getting filled with optimism because you've seen some cracks happen? More voices are coming out. Your voice is coming out. Are you being filled with a little bit more optimism for 2023 than you were maybe at the beginning of 2023?
Yes, absolutely. I've been embraced by a number of different communities. I've made some of the most wonderful Canadian friends on Twitter who give me a laugh a minute. I want to continue going forward, continue to use my voice, let people know that they too can have a voice and you're not alone. I'd love to continue making content. I want to start, I'm waiting for my sister to build my desks so that I can do my DIY stuff as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. And today was a good day, like we were talking about earlier, with the protests again in
Hmm.
Ottawa, with
Hmm.
Starbucks, taking out the Pride stuff, taking the Pride merch out,
Right.
you
Let's
know.
talk about that. I didn't actually know about that until you mentioned that at the pre-show.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Starbucks has pulled their Pride for the year.
in the United States, yeah. I don't know. They apparently they got worried. The whole Target and Bud Light stuff
So they
kind of
should.
made them a little bit worried. And there's some Twitter group, it's workers for Starbucks, and they're all mad about it. And it's just like, you don't need it everywhere. If you'd had one rainbow tumbler, no one would have cared. But you decided to do an entire freaking room full of stuff and inappropriate stuff that half of these places are selling. And it's like, I think more companies need to understand, go woke, go broke, right? And we need to let these companies know, if you're going to go woke and you're going to shove this in our faces, we're just not going to come to you. We're going to go elsewhere. You know, that's what we can do as people, is just stop going to someplace. I understand for some things, like I live by a Walmart and they have the progressive flag in their window. I have to shop at Walmart sometimes, unfortunately, but I love people who can choose where, like I don't have to go there. If you have to, you have to. But it's nice to see that slowly but surely. Oh yes, and the trans people that flashed themselves at the White House, they've also been banned from ever attending any event for the White House ever again. So
Good.
that's good that the White House stood up and said, this is going too far. It's sad that it took that. Like, really, that's when you said it went too far, not when it's
Hmm.
regarding children. Okay, but I'll take the semi win. You know what I mean? Because it's the White
Absolutely.
House. It's the White House becoming bigots.
Right. And I think you were onto something when you said, and this is the sad part, that somebody might get hurt, or at some point somebody might get hurt before we have our moment. And that's a martyr. That would be a martyr. Somebody would be martyred. And I actually have the same fear as you. And in my mind, it's this little innocent girl. Something bad happens to her, and it's caught. It's undeniable. It's horrible. And I think that would change a heck of a lot of minds. But maybe we don't need that big moment on our side. Maybe 1,000 little cuts on this one, like paper cuts, 1,000 little paper cuts will end it for that. So this White House thing might be one. Target
Mhm.
getting into trouble, Bud Light learning a lesson. Now I've quickly looked into
Starbucks, yeah.
now I looked into the Starbucks one. The company's denying it. It's the union who came out and made that comment.
Oh,
So the Starbucks,
really?
yeah, the Starbucks union came out and said that the employees were ordered to remove the Pride stuff. The company is denying it.
Ah,
So I was a little surprised to hear Starbucks. Like that
I
is
know.
the
Because,
first one
yeah,
to do it. Yeah, yeah.
they're
But
pretty progressive. So,
now what might have happened is maybe they did, and then it got leaked, and then they saw the backlash so quick, and now they're even denying, because that is also something that could have happened here.
yeah.
They are putting the union under the bus. And I'm just going to throw it out there as a conspiracy guy. No tinfoil here at all. But conspiracy guy, Starbucks hates unions. So Starbucks could have told the union that. Union says that. Starbucks says union lied, gets rid of union. Um, that could have been a strategy here. If
Oh,
you're in the upper executive, you think that way. Um, let the union get out there with some false information, get a bunch of egg on their face, and make them look like bigots, and then maybe the union could be gone. I know Starbucks doesn't want that union.
oh, that's a good one. I like that. That's
Well,
definitely a possibility.
yeah, well, it's something that they would do. It's absolutely something they would do. Throw the union under the bus like that, for sure,
Hmm.
in a heartbeat. It's two birds, one stone. You get to look like the one that saved all your employees with his pride stuff, and you got rid of the union. So
Yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. But
yeah.
I just wanted to correct that because I'm an accredited media, right? I have to at least take a look and look into it. And it looks like the company's denying it, but the union came out with that comment. So you're
Hmm.
right. The Starbucks union said that the pride had to be removed, but the company is now disputing that.
So
But
now it's a
but I,
wait and see.
but even the fact that that itself became such huge news, and there was a lot of excitement and anger all at the same time, those are the cracks. Those are the
Hmm.
crux.
I agree.
And yeah, I like to see that, and I don't want to
We
see
just got to
one thing.
keep the momentum going, right? If
A
we can
thousand
keep
paper
with,
cuts.
exactly, if we can keep this momentum going forward and just take them down piece by piece by piece by piece, eventually they'll just be like, it's not worth it.
Right. So people like you keep going to the school board meetings, keep challenging the school. If your son comes home like he did and said, "Hey, this is going on," go and find out what's going on and talk to them like you did. I think that's another thing that people can take out of this interview is the courage to even speak to your school. Like you said, a lot of people don't even know what's going on in their school. Make the
Hmm.
first step to go find out. Do find out.
Yeah.
A lot like I know that I've spoken to some people before and they have this attitude that, well, that's in California. They do that down in the States. That ain't here. Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it is.
is. And
Yeah,
believe it, I was one of those parents that's like, yeah, right. That's not happening here in Canada. What?
sorry,
You
what?
know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh. So even here's my advice to parents: even if you got to do it sneaky, just kind of be like, oh, I'd love to come in and see my kid's classroom sometime if that's okay. Get your kid to take you down to the library and just start checking things out. That's what I
Mhm.
did. I did it all on the down low. I was just making sure because I knew if I find anything, y'all going to be paying a price, because I've seen some of the books that are out there. And if any one of those, is in this school, I will be, coming at you come heck or high water.
Or take a page out of Starbucks book and go in there with pride earrings on and watch them open up to you and tell you everything.
Ooh.
Yeah, when you do
See,
that, the door opens up, and then all of a sudden, they're not keeping you away from certain areas, and yeah, you'll see everything.
but here's the thing. I kind of did that already. And that's, the teacher, when I asked his EA,
Mhm.
about how long they'd been teaching LGB, she was like, oh, we've been doing it since like last year. And I was like, what, and then she went in and told Nicholas's teacher, the woke one, oh my God, Tammy, Nicholas's mom, Tammy, just confronted me. She wants to know about the LGBT. Oh, so right away, his teacher calls me. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, I've been doing this longer than you've even been alive, lady.
Mhm.
you know, I'm like, I have friends in the community. They are my friends. I am not an ally. I am a friend. I treat them the exact same way I treat all my friends, right?
Right.
And so she ends up going back to the EA and goes, oh my God, Tammy is the coolest mother ever. So I
There
thought,
you
all
go.
right. So now, but nothing. And so I thought, okay, we're cool. Like I'm not hearing anything. Nicholas wasn't coming home and telling me anything. But then at the end of the year, a former EA, she came and told me every day LGBT. But like I said, my son was tuned out.
Right.
He's like, I'm not interested in this crap. You bite it. Thank
And
gosh.
and now it's out of the school as far as you know.
Yeah. And she's gone now, man. Like, so I'm glad that she has been let go. They do have the rainbow flag flown at his school, which I'm not opposed to. Mind you, nowadays the flag doesn't mean as much as it used to, but I still understand that men and women actually fought for their own sexuality. And I understand that that's what the rainbow means for them. It's about their sexuality. They know that, and they don't want it really promoted either. And there's
Mhm.
one lady in our town who has a gigantic progress flag. I hate that flag, just so that I hate it. It's like every time they add another chevron, they're taking
Right.
more of what that flag means away. And it's just like, I hate it. It's propaganda. Propaganda. That's all this is. It's to divide and make people hate each other. And I can't stand it.
It sounds like it's working though, because your response to it is exactly what they're trying to do.
Mm.
So it worked because you are angry.
Well, no,
Um,
yeah, I'm angry, but I wasn't angry enough to go rip it off her freaking
no,
house.
no, no. Yeah, sure. That's where they want the next stage. They actually do want us to do stuff like that so that they can say, look how intolerant and violent they are.
Mhm.
Therefore, we need more protections, yada, yada, yada. Get the guys with the guns.
I'm a
Um,
lover, not a fighter.
yeah, and that's why I love Diagolon because they could have with just one fight or one retaliation or one little statement, they could have made us all look really bad, but they didn't. And that actually made us look all so good. And when I say us all, I don't mean dialogue. I just mean anybody who's counter to the narrative that's going on. We're all on that side. And it could have made us all look bad if they were violent or they were going out there. And we did have video of people that are in drag being pulled out and violated and assaulted. Like, that would be horrible. Like what happened in Boogie Nights. Remember that movie, Boogie Nights?
No, I don't.
You haven't seen that movie, Boogie Nights?
Oh, Boogie Nights. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Maybe when it first came out, but I don't remember it. Oh my heavens.
Right. Well, there was one scene in there where there was a gay gentleman that got tricked into a vehicle and then they would like beat him, like beat him bad. That can't happen, right? This is something we got rid of in our society a long time ago. We don't do that anymore. So if that kind of stuff still happened, that would be horrible for that person, but it'll also be horrible for the counter narrative fight. So I'm glad that that's not happening. They're going to accuse us of doing stuff like that, but we just won't do it. So I'm glad that you go into the school and you talk to them. And I'm even glad that you even buddied up with them. So they got opened up a bit and they talked a bit more.
They did.
That's that's a tactic we're taught in law school. One of the first things you can do is you either make them scared and then they will confess, or you make them comfortable and they'll confess.
I started law when I was in high school, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah,
it was too much.
Yeah. I went to law school late in life, though. So I was in my late 30s when I did it. And I was in a class where I was the only person of my race and culture there. And sex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was in Brampton. So it was a very culturally diverse place. And a lot of females in that class. And you can see my wind is blowing Sorry, I got to close a window because things are blowing around behind me here. And they were incredibly discriminatory against me, and they tried to get me kicked out of the class because I performed too high. That's another story for one day. But it definitely showed me how we were changing, even in the classrooms at the level of law school, that people were labeling people and trying to get people away for their own personal reasons and nothing that person did. So because I was white and I was a male and I was very active, and as you can tell, I was probably very talkative, so that happened. They wanted me out. Half of them wrote a letter. It didn't work.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
see, and that's what I stood against. It's like the one girl that I was telling you about that I lost as a friend, she actually blamed Johnny Depp. And I went, what? Because
Johnny Depp in what way?
She said because I was a Johnny Depp fan, I got red pilled because I supported him during the trial, because it was very clear that she had been abusive to him. And I was like, why don't we talk about this? We don't talk about men's mental health. We don't talk about violence against men. We act like it doesn't happen. Instead, we just want to throw all this hate towards men and say, we're the perfect ones. Well, no, if it happens to us, guess what? It does happen. So what if it's more rare? It still happens, and it needs to be talked about. Most people don't know that 80% of the suicides that are committed in this country are men. It's like, why aren't we talking about this? I have a son. I want to be able to talk about this so that he's never feeling like he has to go that route. Yeah. I'm a big supporter of men and women. I'm a people.
Me too. Me too. I'm a supporter of men and women. I think we're both important and we're both necessary. If I had to pick one, it would be women. But I'm glad that we can get along and do this journey of life together. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
But on that note, sorry, it came to an end. I told you the 2 hours will go by quickly.
It did.
We are at the end, and you were worried about doing an hour. And look at this. I think you're good to go. And we still had more we could have talked about. This would have been
definitely
3 or 4 hours easy. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta like ask Chris if sometime when he's free, if maybe me and Chris can come on together and the three of us do something together. That'd be awesome. I love Chris. I love his opinion, and he's always very positive towards me. He was the first one to reach out to me about homeschooling. He sent me all this information and everything. So I would definitely love to do something with him as well.
Well, it's funny you say that. He's got a show he's starting up on Thursdays now. He's going to be announcing it soon. So maybe I kind of blew that surprise. But he's working on a show right now. It's great. He's going to be doing
For
a lot more
YouTube?
stuff like this. Yeah. I believe he's doing the Twitter Spaces.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing
I
Twitter
haven't
Spaces.
figured those out yet. Can you even chat in those Twitter Spaces, or do you just listen?
Yeah, you can chat. Get a microphone on your... Well, you have one on your phone already. So it's kind of like a phone call. There's no video.
Okay.
Yeah, so get your Twitter app on your phone and you can make it work really easy there.
Okay. That's good
But
to
he's
know.
on... Yeah, I think his first one is this Thursday. So check his Twitter. Check my Twitter. I tweeted it as well. But yeah, Chris has got a show coming out. So it'd be a lot
That's
of fun.
awesome to hear.
Yeah, and then the following Wednesday, so not the Wednesday we're about to have tomorrow, but the following Wednesday, he'll be on this show. He'll be part of the Cross Canada show. And then in July sometime, he'll be on for a full episode.
Nice.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy, really good guy.
He
went to
is.
BC. Yeah, I actually went to BC to go see him. He's a really good guy. So
Oh, yeah,
looking
that's
forward to it.
awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's a really nice guy. Like I went and hang out with him in the park. We just shoot the entire afternoon away.
He seems like he'd be a cool, chill guy to be around.
Yeah, and the thing I got out of that meeting with him was to do this show. It wasn't his idea to do a show. It was his idea to help reach people because mental illness is an issue that him and I share that's very deep to us, is to help people with mental illness. It's one of the addressed issues in Canada, and it's hurting a lot of people. So that was really important to us, and we connected on that. And we were trying to come up with ways to reach people. And look what we're doing today. So Chris was the reason why I went on the path to do this. I wasn't planning to do a show, but talking to him about the mental illness issues, because I've my mother and some other issues, we connected on that. So I'm very pleased that after a year of working on it, he's coming out with his own show, and he'll be on the show again too.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. No problem. But I got to let you go. Because when you have a show, you'll know that you got to try and stay within your times, because for a whole bunch of reasons. But thank you, Tami, and you guys let me know if you like that. Let me check the comments before I let you go, though. First, I got some questions here for you. So my chat lady, I'm going to do
thanks, Padge. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to do some Q&A here, Padge. So I'll take the next 3 here. What do you think about Trudeau's commenting far right on stuff in New Brunswick about schools being required to tell parents stuff? So there's an issue where they don't tell parents stuff, right? They're hiding things from parents. And then comments from Trudeau or anybody who's pushing them to talk are far right. What's your comment about that?
I think Justin Trudeau should just shut his mouth. Stop trying to tell. We don't tell him how to parent his children. Don't tell us how to parent ours. Each individual, each set of parents, whether you be a single parent or, parents like gay, straight, whatever, we have our own way of parenting. And he shouldn't be worried about introducing stuff that really has nothing to do with life. Like, I get it. If your kid is gay, giving them an outlet, that's one thing. But we're not allowing kids to just come out, so to speak. We're like telling them, you're trans, right? And it's like we're forcing it upon these kids, and it's confusing them. So I really just wish he would shut his mouth and let us do our jobs. Because I think we, for the most part, are doing a pretty dang good job ourselves.
Yeah, I have a little bit of empathy for him, because it would be tough to find out that the man you grew up with wasn't your father. That'd be tough to find out later in life. So we'll give him a little bit of kudos and credits for that.
Is there any confirmation to that he's a Castro?
It's identical. Come on, he's got nothing,
I know, right?
I'm like, in common.
It's wild. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like the what's one of the Kardashians. Which one is it? Not Khloe. It might be Khloe.
Courtney.
OJ.
No, it's not Courtney.
No,
it's
Courtney. I think Khloe.
Khloe, yes, it's Khloe.
Yeah,
Isn't she like OJ Simpson's kid or something like that?
That's right. Do that test. Make us all be quiet. But she's a big, strong lady. Sure.
I think, when it comes to Trudeau, there's a lot more going on in this country that you could be focused on rather than whether my kid identifies as male or female or trans.
Right.
Like there's fires burning everywhere across Canada. We have homeless, we have drug addicts, we have just addicts in general, whether it be alcohol. Like I'm an alcoholic, well, former alcoholic, but once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. But, you know, so we have so many more things that we could be focused on instead of gender ideology. And he just doesn't seem to care about any, oh, you're starving, you can't afford to eat. Oh, who cares? Are you trans? You know, it's like, what? You know, maybe if we all said we were trans, he'd give us some food.
Well, I'm not joking. There's somebody reached out to me and they said, I'm having trouble getting shoulder surgery. I'm on a list. It's going to be 2 years. I said, tell them it's for your sexual identity. They may put you up on the list.
I said the same thing to my mom.
Yeah.
I just said, tell them that
it's ruining your sexual identity. It's causing you to have distress about your sexual identity. They will likely bump you.
Yep. I said the same thing to my mom. And she goes, do you think it would work? I was like, who knows? But I'd try it. He's letting everybody else do it.
Yep.
So, yep.
And then Ellen actually had a neat little question here because I don't even know the answer. So I'll ask you. Ellen says, cryptic question for Tami. Does flyball mean anything to you?
Flyball?
Flyball. Flyball.
That's a baseball term, is it not? Am I? I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what she's getting at because I don't know what she's getting at.
Okay.
Maybe Ellen could let us know at the end, but I think your answer, Ellen, is no. It doesn't mean anything to her.
No, yeah.
Term. Yeah. And then we got Charlie. Bless you, Tami. So sorry you went through all of this. What growth? That's the message from today. This episode is about growth because, boy, did you show us an incredible amount of it. You're like a little weed growing so quickly. It's awesome to see. And I'd like to see you spread that. Let's be a garden and get all of this growth happening.
Well, I can tell you, I can tell you from knowing all you guys and learning how I have, I feel like I've actually gotten more intelligent over the last couple of years. I'm like, I'm gaining brain cells. I'm actually gaining them. Woo, you know, so thanks, guys.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. It's education. So if you are learning something, that's wonderful. And I learned a lot about you, and I learned a lot about the true power of abused strength. I never got to have that conversation with my sister. So thank you for sharing that part with me. I really hope it helps somebody else. We always do that whole, let's hope it helps one person thing. I hope it helps thousands. I hope it helps a whole whack of people here. Thank you, Tami.
And thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, no, I love you. Thank you for being in the show. Even though you voted NDP, we still love you. No hard feelings. Yeah, we don't cancel around here. We accept and understand. So, Tami, thank you so much for showing up, sharing this with us, getting us to understand these struggles are real, but you can get out of them. You can.
Yes, absolutely, you can. Yeah. And thank you guys. Thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you, Jason. Love you too, brother. And thanks for giving me this opportunity to get to share my voice. Thanks for my coming out party, guys.
Yay! So look, we have coming out on our side as well. Everybody should be happy now.
Coming out. Yeah. I want the world to know. Sorry.
Yeah. And we don't use the word pride because it has an I in it, but we use proud because it's you. Because it's for other people. So we're very proud. And
yes.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Okay, we'll talk soon. We'll see you in the chat, all right? You still have time. I got a couple more minutes to finish up here.
All righty, sounds good. Okay, talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, folks, I loved that one. Max was a lot of fun. There was a lot of clips in Max's one and all that kind of things, but this is the one I'm going to remember. Tami is not just part of the family, the Plaid family. I think she's one of the matriarchs, right? She understands men aren't evil. Men have value. Positive male energy is a good thing. It's a welcoming thing. And she felt it from Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, if you're listening to this, you saved another one. Okay, brother, all your struggles, all your fights, you saved another one. We just heard it today. She was close. She's back, stronger than ever. Looking great too, by the way. Didn't want to say that because Padge is on here, but look, looking great. Keep it up. Well, everybody, that's our episode for today. This is our test at trying to talk to real Canadians, meeting real Canadians, being with real Canadians. And that's what it looks like. That's what a real Canadian looks like. She was frustrated. She was scared. She was angry. She's empathetic. She's sympathetic. She took something that she didn't want to because of the love of her mother, that she didn't believe that she was a threat, but she loved her mom so much that she went ahead and did it. I love this family. It's a wonderful family. A child with special needs, you can't. He's doing wonderful. He's a great little young man. He's got his video games, he's got his computer, and maybe we'll see him on a stream as well. And Tami, 100% mean it. Stream it. All right. Stream it. Canada needs to hear more of your story. So all of you, thank you very much for hanging out with me. It's Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday. And we're going to have our Coast to Coast tomorrow. I'm not sure how many people are in it. There's a lot of moving parts, but we're going to have it. Donald Best on Thursday, and then Corey Morgan on Friday. Thank you all very much. See you in the morning. And remember, God bless.